Up next is Rowena Smith, Managing Director and CEO at Australian Strategic Materials. Rowena has almost 30 years' experience in the mining and minerals processing sector, including a range of senior roles in strategy, operations and commercial. Prior to joining ASM, Rowena was Chief Sustainability Officer at South32, accountable for sustainability strategy, risk management and HSE business processes. Other past roles include Vice President Supply at South32, General Manager of BHP's Kwinana Nickel Refinery, and operational leadership roles within Rio Tinto's aluminium smelting business. Thank you.
Thanks very much. It's 18 years since I first attended Diggers when I was working in nickel, and I have sat in this auditorium so many times listening to presentations, many of them from Peter Harold. So it's very nice to be up here on the stage with you finally, Peter, and thank you very much to Diggers and Dealers for giving me the opportunity to be with you today to tell you the Australian Strategic Materials story. If you'd like a bit more time with our disclaimer, we have loaded that up on our website earlier today, so you're welcome to look at that at your leisure. ASM. We're building a rare earths and critical minerals business to provide those high-tech metals that are needed for the challenges of today and the future, and in particular to support that clean energy transition. Our strategy is to go from mine through to metals. That starts with our Dubbo project, which is pre-development. We will be mining there, and we will also be separating the ore and refining it into high purity metal oxides, which can either go directly to the global customers, or importantly, we're also offering the option to our customers to metallise it for them and provide that service through that part of the supply chain. The first of our metals plants we've already built. It's in production in Korea, and we are metallising there the light rare earths currently and making the specialist alloys that go into those permanent magnets, the high-performance magnets that are essential in those wind turbines and electric vehicles and other clean technologies. The challenge, the obvious challenge, is that we've got our metals plant going up before we have got our resource in production. So one of the other aspects that we've been working on is developing a supplier of rare earth oxides from Vietnam to provide the rare earth oxides prior to Dubbo coming online, but also to supplement the Dubbo materials to help support our growth strategy as we go forward. The rare earth oxide provider that we have there in Vietnam is intended to be a strategic partnership for us, and I'll talk about that more as we go through the presentation. We have a very capable and committed board of directors and management team. The board is led by our largest shareholder and chairman, Mr. Ian Gandel. We have a diversity of talent there with a diversity of experience, which really sets us up well as we go forward. We have got over $50 million, so $56.7 million cash at the last quarterly. And as of close of business yesterday, our market cap was about $345 million. That has gone up in recent weeks. I'd just like to reassure people, you haven't missed out. There's plenty of upside still to go. And what I would really like to talk about now are our two primary projects up front. The first of them, our Korean metals plant. We're very proud of this facility. I had somebody ask me yesterday, is that a pilot facility that you've got there? No, it's not. It's a commercial production facility, and there's a photo of it. The area under the large black roof there is where we're making the neodymium, praseodymium metals and specialist alloys that go into those permanent magnet applications that I was speaking about. The area under the blue roof, that is, the other part of that L-shaped building, is where we're doing the process development work on our own innovative low-carbon technology. We're doing that work currently on titanium, but that will be the metallisation technology that we'll use in the future for metallising the heavy rare earths and some of the other critical minerals that come from the Dubbo deposit. The pretty orange building on the right is the admin block, where we also house the research and development team that we have, which is co-located there at that facility. As I said, this facility is already in production and in ramp up, and our focus there at the moment is on growing that customer base. The neodymium and praseodymium metal, we commenced first sales in September of last year to NS World, which is a Korean magnet producer. And then more recently, we've completed the commissioning of the strip caster, where we make that NdFeB alloy, that specialist alloy that goes into those magnet manufacturers. And the first two customers that we have announced are both in the States. The first, we announced it back in May with Novion Magnetics. The initial sale is for 100 tonne between now and March of next year, but we're in the process of developing the long-term supply agreement for them. And then very pleasingly, we have announced the first of the long-term binding agreements for that magnet alloy with USA Rare Earths. We announced that last week. It is a 5-year agreement which production starts for them next year. And we will be supporting them through their ramp up, and they've committed to taking 60% of their feedstock from our facility. So very exciting. We're in a number of other product validation processes at the moment with customers, global customers in the States, in Korea, in Japan and in Europe. But it's also very important for us to have secured these raw materials for this facility, as I spoke about before. So, Vietnam Rare Earth, VTRE as we call them, they have entered into an agreement with us. Again, the initial agreement is a sale of 100 tonne of that light rare earth oxide for us. But we are in the process of talking with them about long-term arrangement and also for the provision of the heavy rare earth oxides. And as part of that discussion, we've been talking to them about how we can collaborate in order to be able to strengthen their supply chain. So it was very pleasing to be able to announce the MOU, a 3-way MOU, just within the last couple of weeks between VTRE, ourselves, and Blackstone Minerals. Blackstone, you'd probably already be familiar. They are an established miner in Vietnam. They've got a project there that's a nickel project. And what we're really seeing is with the combination of the mining capability as well as VTRE's established separation and refining capability within Vietnam, and then our in-production metals plant in Korea with our pathway to global customers, that we've got a very compelling case as we go forward seeking permits for some of the rare earth deposits that the Vietnamese government is looking to accelerate and get into the market. So we will continue our discussions, but we're excited about where that can lead. The production ramp up for this facility, the installed capacity at the moment for the light rare earths alloys is 600 tonne per annum, and we will work our way toward that as these various customer agreements are secured. But we also have the facility designed to be able to then ramp up progressively, aligned with customer demand, up to 3,600 tonne per annum in that facility. And as I said earlier, we are also continuing to do in the background at the moment, because our focus at the moment is on our revenue stream products, but we're continuing to do the titanium development that will lead to our future technologies. So the other main project and main focus for us is in Dubbo, and this project we really feel has got the right timing at this particular point in what the world is looking for. The ore body, one of the things that's very special about the Dubbo ore body is that it is a combination of light rare earths, the neodymium and the praseodymium, but also an unusually high proportion of the heavy rare earths, the dysprosium and the terbium. But in addition to those rare earths, it also has 3 other materials that are also on most of the Western countries' critical minerals lists: the zirconia, the hafnia and the niobium. And we've got a lot of interest at the moment as we're talking to potential offtake partners across all of those materials. The reserve supports a 20-year life of mine, but we have already got an additional 50 years of resource. So it's a very long life asset. It is construction ready. We have all the major approvals in place, including an updated modification that came through just earlier this year for some of the improvements that we've done to reduce our water consumption. We've got land and water licence all owned. We're working at the moment with Hyundai Engineering on the EPC definition work. We commenced phase 1 of that work in January. That just finished just in the last couple of weeks. During that work, we identified some additional design that's needed for the non-processing infrastructure before we move into stage 2 of that work. That work is out to tender at the moment. We're expecting to award that in the coming weeks. And that is in part funded by some federal funding that we got earlier this year, $6.5 million from the federal government to support us as we progress that work. We've been working with ANSTO for over 16 years to develop the flow sheet, and I think this is worth emphasising because one of the real challenges for rare earths is everyone is unique, and getting your flow sheet right can be one of the real challenges, particularly as you head into commissioning. So we have had a very long period of doing development with ANSTO on our flow sheet. We have the advantage that Dubbo crops at surface, so we've been able to take material. We've got a demonstration facility that we invested in over 10 years ago now, where we're able to test our flow sheet, make samples of product, give that to our potential offtake partners so they can see the actual product that they'll be receiving. And it's certainly one of the areas we see as a big advantage for our project as we go forward. The financials are strong. This is a summary from the optimisation study that we did in December of 21. It throws out terrific cash once it's up and going, $425 million per year, internal rate of return of 23.5%. And one of the things you can see there that I think is also one of the advantages of the fact that it is multi-metal or a polymetallic resource is that you can see there that the costs are covered by the revenue from some of the other critical minerals. So by the time we're actually producing the rare earths, we have got our costs covered. But it is a significant capital, and that's really the challenge that we are really engaged in at the moment, of finding our offtake partners so we can then move through into our funding towards final investment decision by the end of next year. That timeline keeps us on an expectation of first production and first revenue in early 27. And we've got a lot of activity going on at the moment with those offtake partners. Originally, we were talking fairly exclusively with Korean potential parties, but as the world's interest in these critical minerals has increased in the last 12 months, we've broadened that search out, and we're talking with parties in the US, we're talking to parties in Europe, we're talking to parties in Japan, and we've got a lot of momentum in those discussions. The purpose for ASM is to provide the metals that are needed for that clean energy transition. So quite clearly, sustainability goes right to our core. But it's not enough to be doing the right thing. We need to make sure that we're also doing it the right way. We've got a very comprehensive program around ESG. You might expect that from me, given the background that I personally have. But it is equally important to the business, and the work here predates me by many, many years. Some of this work started well over 10 years ago. And it's also very important to our customers. You know, we're finding as we're talking to offtake partners that some of them are actually wanting to do the ESG credential check first before they even want to talk to us about the technical components of our products or pricing. So ASM, that's our mine to metal strategy. We're building an alternative supply chain. We're already in production on those high-tech metals and alloys and building our customer base. The Dubbo project is construction ready and we're in conversation with offtake parties as we move towards final investment decision targeted for the end of next year. And our work is underpinned by a very strong ESG commitment and a very capable and committed management and board. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Rowena.